boss. How's it going? Good.
You're all right.
How are you?
Now, when you settle.
I'm settled. Let's do it.
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the July 19th Town Council meeting. Good to see not quite a full audience, but at least participation. So I'd like to start off and I'll invite everybody to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. I ask for just a moment of silence, please. All right, thank you. So let's move on to number 2, the adoption of minutes of the regular meeting held on July 5th, 2022. I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Motion to adopt the regular meeting minutes held on July 5th, 2022.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments? Corrections that you noted? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the adoption minutes of the regular meeting held on July 5th, 2022, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The adoption of the minutes of the regular meeting of July 5th, 2022 are approved. We'll move right into number 3. Tonight we have a presentation by Mr. Gary R. Jordan, Jr., Director from the Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation on the review conducted of the town's land use ordinances and discussion topics of building code, housing availability, and smart growth to be supplemented by other directors as necessary. So with that, Mr. Jordan, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm going to sit down because I'm eye level with all you guys already, and probably a little more comfortable for me. So, as the mayor said, I'm Gary Jordan. I've lived in Pittsfield about 28 years, 30 years, and I still have a home here. I don't longer live in the town. And I'm on Peak. I'm a director for Peak. It's a 501c3 corporation. Started in 1995 by the town as a economical development arm for the town. So we talk about a lot of different things over the years, and I'll explain some of those things as we get further into some of these projects here. But we're going to talk about land use, all right? And we're talking about people's property. We're talking about land use, whether it be private or commercial property. So you can imagine that to be a pretty heated discussion. And in a lot of cases it should be, because we need to make sure we protect people's property. You know, what's being put next to it, and do that in a logical order. So I kind of started looking at those land use ordinances. And what became apparent real quick was we've got a pretty good land use ordinance. Okay, we do have that. I mean, you drive to some towns and you drive down the street, you can't tell what the street really is. You got houses on it, you got restaurants, you got all sorts of types of businesses. Pittsfield has been lucky, just probably by accident, on how it was set up years ago. You know, we do have a town center, we do have farmland, we have a school, we have community, clusters of communities for homes. So, and we've got the industrial park. So we do kind of have areas that are laid out very well compared to a lot of towns that I travel through. And I'm a real estate agent, and can make heads or tails of where you're going into town, you know. So that's kind of important to understand. And the other thing is things are changing in town, in all towns. And who would have thought 30 years ago, we're going to jump back 30 years, who would think about a cell tower? You wouldn't think about where's the cell tower going to be placed in town. So now what are you thinking about now? Solar farms. Where are those going to be placed in town? And what's that doing? So this is a big discussion, that needs a lot of different type of people to talk about, whether it be farmland, solar farms, investing in how big the town wants to be. So we have 8 properties for sale right now in this town as of today, and 8. And so we're not growing any land here. Okay, so where are we going to put more property? More residential property. So one of the questions that you really want to ask yourselves is how big do we want Pittsfield to be? I'm not sure the population, but it's probably over 4,000, 4,500, right in that range, right? So how big do you want that population to grow? And where are you going to put these residential homes? Are you going to have tiny homes? So that you have a lot of things to think about, and how much farmland are you going to have? How much industry? So you need to think about these things and use really what you've got and what for a platform to possibly change. Okay, we do have, and I've looked at large tracts of land in town, all held privately. So you got to get people that want to act a developer that wants to, first of all, do the project if the person that owns the property wants to sell it. So, you need a lot of different type of people involved in a big discussion to talk about how are we going to make the town make sense in the future. And one of the things to maybe look at is Grow Smart Maine, an organization that helps develop towns, and communities, making them more vibrant and making sense of harmony in them. Okay, residential, agricultural, farmland, all those types of items, and they would help you with a path. So I'll leave the it's growsmartmaine.org if you want to read that. But it's really a topic that town citizens need to be involved in, property owners, and just think about this for a minute. As a property owner in town, what do I want next door to me? Because if you didn't have land use, you could have anything somebody wants to put there. All right, now you want to do that or not? And you want to keep property value. You want your property value to stay at continuing to grow, not decrease because of what's next to you. And it does happen in towns. So I like to have you just think about those kind of discussions. But really, how big do you want Pittsfield? You guys have any questions? You probably have thought of all this, haven't you?
No, I don't think so. But particularly one thing that I'm concerned about is solar farms. And I'm concerned with all of it. But do we know, or do you have any expertise or knowledge about how other towns have put in place, like what type of ordinance can we put in place that's reasonable? Or do you have any guidance that way, or that I'm kind of out of your ballpark a little bit?
It's out of my ballpark. Although I'm trying to get a solar farm in one town for somebody, but it's really nothing I can discuss as far as what ordinances there are. I'm sure that some towns do have ordinances, and you can find those ordinances. But that's the discussion you want to have with everybody. If Pittsfield is a community where they have a lot of farmland, agricultural land, do you want it tied up with solar farms? Yes or no? I'm not here to say yes or no. I'm just saying that's a question. Okay? You've got woodland. You have woods.
Right.
You can put homes in woods. You can clear cut that or manage the forest like that. But do you want to do that? So there's a balance there. And I think that this Grow Smart Maine can probably help you out. Okay, and if you go to their site and just read the information on it, you go, that sounds like us.
Right.
So I would encourage you to go to that, look at that a little bit. Remember, when you try to grow a town from, let's say, 4,500 to 5,000, 5,200, what do you have to think about? The infrastructure of the town. Does the fire department, police department need to get larger? How are we getting rid of waste? what it is, what to do to your lagoons, and all that, transfer station, all that. You got to think about, what's this going to affect, and kind of balance that out, because you're not going to have public sewer and water going every place in this town. It's just not going to happen. We know that. But I don't have anything on solar farms. I drive all over the place, and there's plenty of solar farms. Every time I turn around, there's one that wasn't there yesterday, which is kind of interesting. But that's okay. It's okay.
Have you seen other towns, let's say a developer's got a large property and he wants to make housing development, but at the expense of putting in the water and sewer and the road to the specs there, his margin of profit is very small.
Yeah, I've seen what I've seen, Brent, is we have two developments going on in Hampton right now, and one's going to be, I think, 30 homes, which is a large field, and the other one is, I don't know, probably 15 lots, and those lots are large lots, and I think the waste is public, and the well there's wells on the property, I believe. But usually the developer is going to figure out ahead of time what he's got to do. Okay, he's going to figure out, if I have to put this road in and maintain it, is this going to be an association road? How much is each resident going to pay? And we do have some of that in town. I know that.
Do they have any? Does the town ever, let's say, compensate or help a developer?
I don't know that. I don't know that. It's an expensive route for a town to help a developer who's trying to profit, and the town's spending money, taxpayers' money. So I think that's kind of a very delicate situation. But I can look and see exactly how a couple of those subdivisions in our town have been taking place because
with our ordinance, if you're within 200 feet of your property is within 200 feet of the town water and sewer, you have to connect in.
right.
So if you didn't have to, it's cheaper for a developer to put a septic in a well.
Right, true, yeah.
Than it is.
That's right, yeah.
Right.
No, that's exactly right.
So that would be where the town could waive or say, go ahead with septic and well.
That's right. I remember years ago a discussion in town about some roads that were not built to any kind of spec.
Right.
They probably were gravel roads at one time with horse and buggies on them, and there's homes on them, nice homes. And there's always been issues with those roads, and over the years, you work at it a little bit. But, the state and also the town have specs on how to do those roads, if you want them to possibly take it over. And that's going to be a discussion with the town, probably prior to,
Right.
I think. I really think that the land use in Pittsfield, as far as how it's laid out, is much more reasonable than a lot of towns I travel through. And just think about that. You go to Newport, look up Newport. I'm not saying anything bad about Newport, but they don't have really clusters of homes. They've got areas up there that have homes on them. They've got a main street, and then you kind of cross the line over to the Palmyra. But, that's kind of hard, laid out kind of hard. We have a real community here where you've got, on the outskirts, a lot of farmland, town center, you've got a school, you've got clusters of homes built probably around the school at one time, back in the 1800s. And we've got a nice industrial park. We've got lagoons that are placed, the transfer stations placed already. You've got parks within all those areas. So, we're very lucky town to have kind of a roadmap already. So I would just expand that roadmap, think about how you want to use it, and try to look at that smart growth main. It's gonna start making your wheels turn a little bit.
Hey, Gary, if you would, I'd like to have you expand a little bit more on what Pete is doing, what they have been doing, and anything you could share publicly
Sure.
as to.
Yep. I wanted to talk a little bit about building code, but we'll talk about that. I didn't prepare that. So, probably the last thing we've done, that is the town theater. Okay, it's for sale, we know that. It's been for sale for 613 days. So we were involved with that. finding in a agency to represent us and market that. They've done a good job. Allied Realty out of Skowhegan. They've done a great job. We've had about 30,000 views on that property. 17 viewings. Last month, there's been like 816 views on that property. There was a showing recently that the agent said that people were very interested in it, the buyers. But the comment they made is, it needs a lot of work. That was her comment. And she hasn't heard from them yet. So she did give me a recommendation about lowering the price. So that's a discussion that we've got to have about lowering the price of that. Should we, or, I think everyone knows about the housing market, and that kind of goes a little bit similar to commercial property too. Maybe not quite as much, but with rates going up, it drops people out of the market. Maybe people that had an idea of wanting to buy the theater, that idea is gone. So we just want to think about maybe where we want to position the price again, and people talk about that. We're under a real estate contract, so can't really talk openly about it. Okay. And I'm the kind of how I'm involved in that is since I'm an agent, I know agents. I'm the conduit between them. Okay, so I can relay information back to the town. Okay, I have nothing to do with the theater, but I am relaying information back from people I know, and I know these people, and they share information back and forth pretty freely with other agents. What else have we done? We had a two-year project, I think, maybe a little bit over, on the Pittsfield Town video that we released. It happened at the wrong time, COVID. You want video people and community, and what do you have? You got COVID in front of you, So we worked around that with Blackfly Media. They did a very good job. And that's been released out for quite a while now, that video. I think it's like 3 minutes long, isn't it? Right in that range. So I think it's probably on your website, the town website. If not, just let me know and we can get it there. But I think Catherine's got that. That was one of the things that Pete did. So we do a lot of promotions. That was one thing that was asked of us. We've talked about it. Thought it was a good idea to do that. Some other things we've done besides those two things is we talk about like Main Street, the reconstruction of Main Street. We talk about those kind of issues. Sidewalks. I know that's kind of strange, but the sidewalk up by Dunkin' Donuts. We spoke about pedestrian traffic going across the streets to the drugstore at that time, the gas station, the bank. There's a lot of cluster up there all of a sudden. You've been up there and you want to go down the industrial park. There's a lot of traffic all of a sudden. So we talked about the pedestrian travel way and do we want to fund some of that stuff? So those are some of the things Mike really work on. We sell land for town. That's why the theater. Okay, in the industrial park, we sell the land in the industrial park. That project was in that. So those kind of projects that we kind of work on. And there's a group of us. I think Mike, you're part of that group now. Is that right? Or
Yes.
I think Heather, you were still there, right? Yeah. So we've got a group of people. I think we work pretty well together. Is there some talk about a building code? Is there talk about eliminating the building code in town?
Well, there has been more of a low frequency hum that's been discussed here and there about talking with the planning board, the ordinance committees on trying to make it a little bit more user friendly, if you would. I've heard comments from a number of people here in town that what they have to go for. I mean, the industry standards, I understand we're not going above and beyond what the industry dictates, but whether it's reasonable for what we're asking from these homeowners, that needs to be questioned. So we need to get the other boards involved.
if I can just talk briefly about that, because I was involved in the state building codes and the NUBEC. And you know, the building codes for years, and I've designed thousands of homes across the U.S. Always used building codes since '83, from 1 and 2 family dwellings, the life safety codes, to the international codes. So I know quite a bit of information about those codes and how this main building code, which only really had life safety, it wasn't really a building code, it was just life safety code, you know, was. And I've always designed the international codes, which is what now they have adopted, the International Residential Code. I think it's 2018 version. I'm not sure what version it is right now. And then they make changes to it. That's how those codes work. And usually it's every year. You know, it's like every year, here it comes. And what are you going to make changes for? But you know, those building codes are designed for one thing, really, is to protect you, your neighbor, and everyone outside in this community. That's what they're there for. They are the minimum code. If you're reading the international code, it's the minimum code, so you can go much higher than this code. And I think it's important to have. It's a law to have. If you have 4,000 people and more in town, you're going to have that state code, and hope that the code enforcement officer is knowledgeable in it, and he should be. I have seen over 30 years builders, not knocking builders, but having no code in the state. I'm going to give you an example right now that we're going through right now in a house. Had a client bought a house, I'm not going to tell you the town. All right, old house, we have old stock, needed a new roof, new shingles. All right, she hired somebody who did not give her a contract for it, which you have to do by state law. What do? You go and pull all the shingles off, right? Well, you're doing this, right? You got boards, no plywood, no Advantech, nothing. Pulling it off, board break. Okay, leaves a gap that wide, that high, and a hole in the roof. They cover over it. They go shingle. They nail. Shingles go right through. In the attic, you see the shingles. They're not in, they're in air. Okay?
Somebody had hold of police officers somewhere.
So the shingles are not going into any type of underlayment, roofing boards, nothing. They're going right through the air. The homeowner who knows nothing, the consumer knows nothing. Except it doesn't really look right. Okay, and that's the problem right there. Is you've got people doing work that shouldn't probably even be doing the work, and are saying that's fine. Well, it's not fine. I can guarantee you that. There's a nailing pattern on all shingles. And I said, "Do you call the code enforcement officer?" What's that? This is the consumer. Okay, doesn't know where to go. You know, then she's got to go to the state. Go to the code enforcement officer of the town. They also are under the state code. And before she could even pick up the phone, because she said she was going to do that, he was up there putting new boards on the roof. So, you know, those are the kind of things we see leaky pipes in the house. The house has got pipes that are leaking after the plumber came in and fixed them. They're leaking for months. Not anymore. But those are the kind of things that these codes prevent. And the code enforcement officers or electricians or, you know, plumbing inspectors, those are what they prevent. So I think those are important to protect the consumer and the safety. Because if you don't have a building code, I see bedrooms and basements all the time have one egress in, and that's it. You're not getting a second way out if the stairs are on fire. You're not. So I see it all the time. And they say, we can count that as a bedroom. No, you can't. You can't count that as a bedroom. So that's why you really need building codes. It's a life safety thing. And the town, and these codes, by the way, always have a little variant. Meaning life safety codes years ago and BOCA or international residential codes, they always varied a little bit from each other. Well, I think the state has tried to combine those so they make more sense, and they keep working on that. So just remember, if you have your house built to code, it's going to be more valuable. Period. That's it.
Right.
You know, I wasn't, certainly wasn't questioning the necessity of it. I mean, that's a given these days. Just, I've had people ask me these questions. I didn't know the technical reasons why, but I knew there were reasons why, and and you've seen this when you were on the council. Have you called this person? Have you talked to them?
Right.
Well, no, that's what I'm talking to you as well. That's not what I'm here for. There are resources in town that you as a homeowner or landowner need to refer to. I can pass this information along, but I can't be the conduit of information.
But building codes are they just protect life safety all over the place. I mean, you see shingles blowing off roofs of hurricanes, buildings getting crashed down. There's no ties to them at all. So I just think it's an important thing, and egress to get people in and out of the building is super important. Protects the people of town.
Yep, understood. Yeah, Frank, go ahead.
Gary, excuse me, Gary. But here's a kind of a dilemma, like you just touched on it. If you're under 4,000 people in the population, like I could step over the line in Palmyra,
Right.
and I don't have to jump through all the hoops
That's
that I
right.
have to in this town.
You are right.
So then why would I build a new house in this town when I can just go 2 miles across the
You
line?
love Pittsfield, don't you?
Oh,
Well,
give me an example.
I don't know
For an extra $100,000, yes.
Yeah, I've worked the building codes a long time, and I've seen the progression as they get stricter and stricter, or widely available to people. And there's no doubt about it. When I was designing homes, it's like, I got a 120-mile-an-hour wind out the coast of Maine now. I got to design the home different, than me inland. So I've seen that. And is it a big deal? Probably 5 or 6 more nails and a couple more, nailing irons here. But it's the constant thing about trying to protect people's lives.
Right.
And you're right about the 4,000. I don't know why that is,
So
but
you think it'd be the same for the whole state, no matter what the population is?
hey, I don't disagree with you there. I think the state at the time was trying to broaden that building code. Okay, so for example, Bangor, or maybe a town like us would actually have to adopt that code. And a town of 500 is not going to adopt it. But I think it's trying to broaden that. Yeah, and I know I've had that question
I think
before.
I want some more because, but
Yeah, I've had that question before.
Neil? Yeah, Captain, go ahead.
Very quickly, on the solar projects, we do have an excellent site plan review ordinance that covers every single category you would want to have covered under the state law and under the comprehensive plan. So the solar projects have had to go through that project as well as any commercial or large project. So we've been able to cover all the different areas. We may want to look at the areas that the solar projects go into around the community, because now we have quite a few of them. Most of them fit into the surroundings. Some of them went onto properties that there was nothing else that could be done with that property. Example is the project that Chimbro had out behind the former Rite Aid. There was nothing that could be done with that property. They had offered it to the town, but it just was full of gullies and wetlands and everything, so this actually worked out for a good use. But this is something that the planning board recently spoke of, looking at the siting requirements. There are ordinances in several towns that are based upon a state variation that the Kennebec Valley Council of Governments is promoting for towns to look at. So there's a couple of options from the state, Kennebec Valley Council of Governments, and the GrowSmart site that Gary referred to as excellent. You go right in, there's 2 different places you can go in and see a PowerPoint. It talks all about solar projects in one of the sections. So there are regulations that we can look at and have the ordinance committee and planning board work on that if the council so desires.
Right. I mean, I'm not being critical of the projects we already have. I'm just saying, everyone's fighting for the same land. I mean, you have residents, farmers, and we still need energy. We need food. We need houses. We need all. I mean, and no one wants to build on a wetland, right? You can't. So there's a lot of wetland in Pittsfield. There's a lot of ground that you cannot build on in Pittsfield, and so there's very limited area that you can expand into. And I think it's wise for us to look at it and say, okay, if someone comes in to have this point last meeting, if someone comes in and says, I own 500 acres, I can put a 500 plot right here, they could do that. And I don't think that's good for Pittsfield, right? I mean, I think at some point, or it may not be good for Pittsfield. I think at some point we got to look at the whole picture and say, do you want your neighbor to be a solar farm? You want it to be an ag field? You want it to be a house? I mean, what do you want next door to you?
Yeah,
And I think that goes a big.
It's a big discussion.
That's why property value is so important. I mean, if it's desirable, value goes up. If it's not, value goes down. So, what do we want?
No, it's a very good point. And also, it's been noted, we've looked at the subdivision ordinance in our community. It's totally protecting the town, but it's very hard to build a subdivision here. The regulations are very strict. So that's something we might want to look at too.
Sure.
Because we do want new homes. Right now, we're getting more and more requests for building permits for new homes than we've had for the last several years. So we're starting to grow again, which is very good.
Anything else for Mr. Jordan? Yeah, Heather.
I'll just pipe in a little bit to what Eric was asking about, and I referred to this either last meeting or 2 meetings ago. Maine Farmland Trust was just about to release their, what they call it here, Balancing Solar Development and Farmland Protection. It's a new report about solar siting, a guide for Maine towns, and in that they actually had a whole group of people. They had farmers, they had town managers, they had developers, they had Revision Energy is one of the largest energy developers for solar in New England. They were part of it as well. But they have a couple case studies of different towns that have put in solar farms as well as redone their ordinances. And there's also a guide in there with general guidance and example strategies for municipal ordinance provisions to support that balanced solar siting that you're talking about. Like, where are places in town that would be more desirable to put it? That marginal land that is behind Rite Aid was a great spot for it. You know, the 200-acre development on farmland that went in on Route 2, probably not ideal. I mean, if you're the developer, it's great because the land's already open. But, you know, it caused problems with wind across the road there. That caused trouble for the people across the street because now their yards are full of snow because no trees holding it back. So there's implications of like that as well as, you know, having to look at it and things like that. It's not all bad though. I mean, there's a whole business growing up now of sheep farmers that are actually taking sheep from solar farm to solar farm to graze them and actually using that land. So there are options to have dual use of those properties. And in other countries, they're actually putting the solar panels up higher and then growing crops underneath them. When we're looking at global warming and things are getting hotter, you know, you need shaded areas now in order to be able to grow certain crops. And so that provides an opportunity to have food production as well as solar production all in the same space. So it's just kind of like being creative and looking at those ordinances in that way of how can we, you know, have the best of both worlds. Have energy development to support the energy goals of the state for the renewable energy as well as the food and preserving that farmland in some sense. And these are all things that are kind of tied up in our comprehensive plan for the town. It's due to be renewed in 2023, which is something that the council should start planning for. It's every 10 years, I believe it needs to be done, and the last one was done in 2013. So that should be kind of on the radar for next year as a project, which these types of things are conversations that can impact what comes out of that new comprehensive plan as well. When you're talking about community planning, where do you see yourself going in the future? What are the values of the town? Because values change from time to time. It's been 10 years. Our town looks very different than it did 10 years ago. So, you know, where is it now? Where is it going to be going? And kind of looking at that. That's another option for more in-depth information for that.
Anything else for Mr. Jordan? Council?
Gary, have you ever seen a town itself? I know this town did like a spec building up the industrial park, where the medical places. Have you ever seen them do a development themselves, like a housing development?
I've never seen it.
No.
I've seen towns do spec buildings, you know, commercial type of project.
Yeah, no like a elderly housing and.
Yeah, you might want to maybe Belfast possibly, but I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe some other new construction, but I don't really hear that. I'll give you guys these. You can pass them around. The statistics on Pittsfield as of June 22. It compares this year compared to last June. You take that with a grain of salt because next month is going to be completely different, you know. And it's just a snapshot of this June and last June.
Gary, did you hear anything about the ZECED program about housing development? There's something going on in Skowhegan, they're putting in development in Skowhegan. It was kind of part of that.
I have another.
Council, anything else for Mr. Jordan? Gary, thank you very much for coming in.
You guys have any questions? Tell us how to reach me.
Way too long between visits.
Well, I will gladly come back anytime you want. I mean, I'm really kind of an authority on housing statistics. You know, I really want to know that. So, and I'll gladly come back and talk to you about that.
What's the action on the Peak Committee? When's you have a next meeting scheduled?
We're talking about that, right, Catherine? We've been talking about that, so we don't have a meeting scheduled yet that I know of, but I'm sure it'll be soon.
We're looking forward to it.
Okay, all right. Thank you, councilors, and I'm going to head out.
All right, Gary, thank you very much. You're more than welcome to stay, you know.
No, I got to get back. I got to write a couple of people some real estate.
I just want to send that offer to you, okay?
Thank you.
Good night. All right, very well. Let's move on to community and economic development activities and events. Please, Catherine.
All right, very good. For community and economic development activities and events, we have had some action on our planning initiative program. In terms of an update, we did receive a few comments from citizens, very helpful comments, as well as some comments after the Heritage Time closed, which were sent to our program manager. And basically, people wanted to have the project that was on Main Street extended so that it goes up further to the hospital and to that area where Layton Street is. So that was an item that was added to the project scope by the state of Maine planner. And he is now working on the budget for the project for the development and the planning study that would take place. So Jared is putting that together and has asked for a letter from the town indicating that we'd like to have a contract with the state. It's not binding, so I'll write that letter and send that off by Thursday, so he'll have that. But it backs up the vote that the council took and your interest in the project. I would note that June 30th is the time in which all of the grants need to have filings, so we filed for every grant that we have open, with the exception of the Main Street Sewer Main Rehab Project, and that one is pay recs that come in for the work that's been done by all of our associates on the Main Street project. And we're closing that off shortly to go over and work on the other projects which are on the agenda. Airport grants will have a new airport project for the airport hangar applied for. We're working on that now, so it looks like it will be put together a rough draft by the end of the week. And so that would be the funding that's necessary to assist the airport hangar project going forward under that new law and regulation in which we had 4 years of funding, $159,000. So $141,000 is what was to be applied for. So that is being worked out. We also have the other airport grants which we filed paperwork on. And so these grants, as well as a few others that we have on the table, are being worked on. And the police department has pulled out information. We got more information from the state. And so those grants will be coming in for more approvals for you. Step 1 was the body cameras. Step 2 will be a server and some other items, which then at that point will create fees for servicing. But not until we get the server for the rest of the body cameras for the part-timers. So that project is starting to move forward very quickly and will get concluded by the end of this year. And so we have a few other grants that are being worked on, and we'll continue to file all the paperwork that's necessary. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Catherine. We shall move on to public hearings. There are none. Number 5, we shall go into reports. The Council Committee's Finance Committee, any reports this evening?
No.
Thank you. Ordinance Committee?
No.
Recycling Committee?
No report.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move on to the planning board. Catherine, if you would, committee updates, please.
Yes, very good. On the planning board, the board had talked about having a workshop session about solar projects and whether there should be any restrictions on those or more regulations, and just basically to learn more about what is out there. So that was the item that was discussed. I did contact Kennebec Valley Council of Governments to see if our planner would be able to come and talk about how to grow smart, as well as the solar regulations. And KB Cog does have a model solar ordinance that can be looked at. And so there's a variety of items out there. And so the planning board will be looking at a meeting this summer.
Do they have a date set up for that yet?
Not as of yet. It'll be based upon everyone's schedule, and I believe based upon if one of the two projects that are wandering around comes in, because we may be able to take care of the project and have a little workshop afterwards.
What project are you talking about?
Well, there's another solar project out there, and there's talk about...
Yeah, there are 3 planned for this town.
Yes.
3 more.
Yeah, I've heard that too, but nobody has come in yet. Only one has called out. And we...
One developer, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only one developer has called up. But I have heard that there's a few wandering around out there,
Yep.
definitely. And there's a commercial project that's being talked about.
Yes. That's also on my radar, as a matter of fact. All right, very good. Let's move on to the town manager report, please, Catherine.
Yes, the town councils have a copy of the town manager's report. It's also out on the table and will be available after the meeting for anyone that's interested. I'll be very brief on the report. It's very clear as to the different items. I did want to let you know that after the 4th of July and before the 4th of July, we started getting phone calls about the fireworks. And so that's gone on for a couple of weeks, and people asked about our ordinance. So if the ordinance committee did decide they wanted to meet to go over solar projects or another item, fireworks might be an item to talk about. We do have the state law, and if people follow the state law, there's not an issue. The issue is when the state law isn't followed, and so that would be the same issue with the town regulations not being followed. But basically, it's been pretty quiet now since the 4th of July has gone past. It's just unfortunate there's an overabundance of fireworks in certain sections of town. I wanted to know, I did contact Mr. Rodrigue from Chimbro. I contacted him a few times. He's been very, very busy. And so he gave me some dates and times we could meet. I chose one, and then I believe he left. So he had planned to leave and told me he was going to do so, but I think he just got really busy. So he did say there were people in his department that could assist. So I'm going to call on Wednesday after we do the trio upgrade and talk to somebody in his department to see if they can assist. The issue we really have is our concrete or cement brick room here, in which the sound is not excellent as it should be for Zoom and for the live streaming. You can still hear it good. I can hear it good on my computer, but not everybody can at home. So we wanted to improve that and improve the video and everything, so you can see the pictures much better. So he had some ideas. I'm sure that people in his department will be able to tell us what items to buy. I've had several people that were somewhat experts on sound and video come in and give us ideas on what we should buy. And we did buy those items, and they didn't work well down here at all. They worked really well upstairs. We have wonderful audio and video for any of our trainings and everything on the first floor. But down here, because of the setup, it just, none of the equipment, little equipment that we bought worked. So I'll get some information from Chimbro and have them give us the names of the different items that they used, and I think that probably would be the way to go. The Fenway Park boat launch, we're losing our wonderful volunteer, Bill Cunningham. It's been a long time that he's been working on this project. He has other items he'd like to do. In the meantime, he had given us a change in the design from the wooden stairs to a concrete stair, like he called it a sliding stair. So Klein Smith is working on the plans for that. It's nearly complete. And then the environmental staff person at Chimbro, Lauren, will work on the permit. If she thinks if it's in the same footprint, it should be relatively easy to do. And then we'll figure out where we're going to go from there. You do have a little boat launch subcommittee of the former bicentennial committee that may want to work on this with the town staff, Public Works Department, and the Public Works Director. We were very fortunate that one permit is no longer required of the town, being called a multi-sector general permit. This was a permit that was a little bit aggravating that we had to do, in which we would go out and have quarterly inspections right after a storm, when stormwater was running at the airport, have to go out and test it. And it didn't seem to make a lot of sense to us because we don't have any pollution at the site. So that has been waived now, and the regulations that went into effect were sort of too far-reaching. It shouldn't have involved the little general aviation airports, as well as some of the places in town in which we don't have sewerage stored. So the treatment plant, which is lagoons, no longer has to have this multi-sector general permit too. So that's good. We were very fortunate that the airport hangar contract was signed by the low bidder. Paperwork came back in time after we issued the notice of award. The contractor is working on the schedule now, and once we have a schedule that works for everyone, we'll issue the notice to proceed, and then we'll be moving forward here. The item I just wanted to spend a little bit of time on is the tax liens, just to let you know that our tax lien process is fully engaged, and when we started out, we had 296 possibilities for tax liens. That meant 296 people owed something on their taxes, anywhere from a few dollars up to a lot of money, the entire bill. So we went through and contacted people, and as of this morning, we had 204 accounts that would be eligible for the 30-day notices. So those will be going out tomorrow. So we went all the way down, almost 100, so that was really good. And a few people came in and paid too, so we're likely under 200 now, which is great. I'm glad that we got that all done when we did, because we've had a major glitch in our financial system in which it's very hard to even print out anything. It is freezing up. And so for your reconciliations, you have the May versions that I have copies with that you can take with you. I've been unable to reconcile June just because of the freezing issue and the fact that the control account doesn't match the budget. We will fund it, but it may be much easier as of after tomorrow when we go to new Trio. Brent, did you have your hand up?
I did, but I can wait till afterwards. Got a great question on that.
All right, I'll zip through this. So basically, the tax liens, when I worked on those last week, I put them in a PDF file, which was good, because if we had tried to print them out as of this week, that would have been very difficult. So luckily, they're all checked, they all add up, everything balances, and so we got as many people in to make payments so they're not getting a 30-day notice, so that was really good. Next few things you can pretty much read for yourself. I did leave the Maine Department of Transportation notifications of the many millions of dollars of work being done in town in the list. That's the item that in the town manager's report generates the most questions. It's definitely all of the state of Maine projects, with all of the bridge projects and the work in the Main Street and everything. So that's really good. On open positions recruitment, we're very fortunate that that little general ad I put in the Rolling Thunder brought in 5 enthusiastic people who want to work for the town of Pittsfield, the most that we've gotten for the outside departments in the 2 years since COVID, when we've advertised off and on for the 2 new positions that we had added in for Public Works. So we were very fortunate. 2 people have already been hired. We have more interviews scheduled at the end of the week for the town office. One person in financial clerk is starting, so we're excited about that. She'll be starting, we wanted her to start after Trio was moved over, so she would just see the new Trio. So I think that that's very good. The police are working on some items, and we have a meeting on Wednesday with the new applicants, and there's another application coming in, so that's also good news. And the fire department is always recruiting. I think I've never seen a fire department over all these years that hasn't been recruiting all the time. For the computer services, I did want to note, and this is an area where Annalise can talk a little bit too about what we're doing with the meters and everything. And I know people had questions on the water sewer billing. And that had been going along really well until last year, and I'll be very brief. All of the books were working well until we got to book 5 and 6, which are read together, and there were some errors that come up, so it's pretty clear what account has an issue. So we went out and read those several times, and then finally called the state, and they explained to us how to estimate. So we estimated for those few accounts that had clogged up the system so you couldn't go past it, and made a record for the auditor. So we thought we were pretty much all set except for those few meters. And then this year, the end of last year into this year, we read all the other books, and that was fun. Got to book 5 and 6 again, and it froze up so that we weren't able to go further. So looking into this, we found out, and I'll be brief, the staff had moved meters from empty buildings and used meters that were in the inventory as had malfunctioned and moved them to different locations. And so we were trying to read them with the automatic reader, not knowing that they had been moved to that location because we didn't have the serial numbers. There's a form to file. And because everybody was being told we didn't have any meters, you never thought about not getting any forms. So we have a dedicated list of 3 pages, but really 2.5 pages, of accounts that Oliver Associates has gone out and read the meters so that we get the correct numbers, so that when we go out to read them again, we'll have the correct number, and then we'll adjust the readings as necessary to the state process for estimating if we need to, and some may be fine with the correct numbers. And so Oliver Associates did take care of that issue. So we do have some new staff who are very, very easy to work with and very helpful. It was something that no one would ever expect would happen, but exactly there's an error. We thought something's wrong with the reader, something's wrong with how we're reading them, something's wrong with the TRIO program. We thought of everything except the fact that the meters had been moved to the different locations, and of course they're not going to read right because they would have a number that was maybe 4,000, and the next time we read it, it has 20,000. Well, maybe that's too much. But they came up as errors because there was an issue with the serial number. It took us a while to figure that out. But we have read all of those, got the correct numbers, and then with the new TRIO, we're going to read the book 5 and 6. So this is an isolated problem. It's pretty clear which accounts had the issue. And there was 2 people in there that hadn't gotten a bill yet. They were new accounts, so they'll be getting their bill. What we will do is credit the people if it needs to be credited based upon the readings. If not, then we'll go forward. And so we'll give everybody plenty of time. Once we get past that book 5, it should be pretty easy going. We'll get to book 6, which is the neighborhood that was questioned at the last meeting. Theirs has always been fine, but they're read together because you're driving down a road and book 5 is on one side, book 6 is on the other, and they don't change the route. And didn't think that they should. So once we get to the other books, I've already gone through all of those, and everything matches up really good. Once new TRIO is installed, we go through and make sure that all the readings will work and make the adjustments that we need. Then I'll make a schedule of when we'll be billing everyone so that we'll know exactly how we're going forward. But I need to see how new TRIO works with the software from the Easy Reader program, just to make sure everything's compatible. So this was interesting, not something I ever would have guessed was the issue. It makes no sense, but that is what took place. And so Annalise could give us a little update on what Oliver Associates has done.
Right, yes, so we were given a list and went to each resident and went into the building and verified serial numbers. Took a while to do. Some people were really not eager to have us enter, which I understand, their apprehension. But we did finally get through the whole list. I think there were 40-something accounts, I can't remember exactly. Similar number, and got everything read and matched up and got all the correct serial numbers. And there is a form that's supposed to be used, and people were instructed to use the form. I'm not sure why it was chosen not to be used for a period of time. And it's not going to happen again, at least with the people that I hired directly that work for me. They know better, and they are filling out the forms and turning them into the office. So when a meter's put in, you're supposed to record all the information, the serial number and all of that, and turn the form into the town office, and also keep a form in the file at the water plant. And I was not able to find any old forms that have been filled out for some of these meters. So anyways, we do have plenty of meters now. They're activated, and we're in good shape until we have to plan to order more way ahead of time now with the way things are. But it's unfortunate. I'm not really sure why this all happened, but obviously it created some confusion. So it's not really tons to say about it. It's not a happy moment for sure for any of us. It took a lot of time going out and getting this information and time away from doing other things that they
What's
really need to be
what's
working
your
on.
best guess, you Annalise, or you Catherine, given 4,000 meters? I know there's not 4,000 meters in town. What's our percentage that we know that are good working meters that are in place?
I'd say pretty much most of them, yeah.
95
Yeah,
plus,
definitely.
yeah.
There's not a lot of meters that don't get a reading, and now with the new staff and the control that I have over them, we are making a list of any meters that don't change, from week, quarter to quarter or whatever time they're read, because that's the key, to keep an
Right.
eye on the meters. And Catherine had been giving us lists before on the meters that don't seem to change, meters that seem like they need to be changed. And there wasn't a ton of them, but at that time we didn't have any spare good meters to go out and install. So most of the meters are working.
So we would expect more revenue. In other words, we're going to be billing for water actually used, because there are some meters that weren't identified or weren't getting proper readings.
We may have more revenue. I don't think it'll be a lot because these were residential.
Right. But I guess my point is, those were, even if it's 5% of the entire population, 5% we weren't getting revenue from. I mean, we're actually spreading the usage properly across the.
We are going to build the 40 accounts. There are 3, I believe, that are vacant anyway, and are turned off. We will bill them for the period of time properly and give them plenty of time to pay. You can
Oh, yeah.
bill back 3 years.
Yeah, no, I understand. There's going to be a way to do it, make it,
Yes, make it fair.
a bundless transfer.
Yes.
Right? You had something on
Yeah,
there?
is there a main meter, or you're calculating off the pumps or whatever, of the water either from the well or the tower or whatever? So you get in that, so you know the amount of volume you're pumping in the town,
We can.
and then a check and balance
Right.
of all the residents, how much usage is going to residents of the whole town,
Right.
and see if it's equaling up. You know, it's not going to be exact.
No, we'll
balance,
never
right?
be exact because there's
No.
water used for flushing, water used for,
Right. Right. And,
bleeders.
but also you could see
Yeah.
there's a spike, if
Correct.
you got a leak
Yeah.
on some backcountry road that nobody notices.
Right, exactly. So there is a main meter at the facility that we record the data every single day. And at the end of, when we get through this billing,
Yeah, with spreadsheet, you should be able
issue,
to.
we can
watch
get
the
a better
trends.
handle on the comparison of water lost. And that's what we were having when we first started here, was water lost, which caused the concern with the wells overpumping because of the fact that there were so many leaks. And we've gotten that in much better shape. Because I think we were running around 600,000 gallons a day maybe a couple of years ago, and now we're down to like 350,000 gallons a day. So there's been a huge improvement on the water pumped.
That was the improvement.
It was
We were pumping 600,000
for
gallons
a
a
period
day.
of time. Yeah.
Wow.
There were leaks. They
There were
found
leaks.
leaks since you brought in a.
I'd say so. That's
So,
incredible.
but we're going to be doing more. It's just been a lot of turnover and instability, and with more stable staffing, I think we're going to get a lot more things in a better place. So it's just going to take a while. It takes time. We have two full-time guys that work here. We also have part-time people that come down and help. That have huge expertise in distribution system maintenance and proper practices, and we've been doing training on these items with the new people to make sure they understand the correct procedures to use and things that are supposed to be done. But you know what it's like trying to get people you can't hire operators that come in with the licenses generally. And especially as small communities, it's really hard to attract them. So we've had to hire people that have done other things their whole life and train them. And it takes time to get things straightened out.
So you got 2 people now, you were at 1.
Right, yes, we have 2 people. Yes, we hired Tracy Bishop maybe a month ago. He comes from 13 years of experience. He did other things too. Has some construction background, but came out of the DOT. He was a project, kind of like a foreman out of the DOT, and he seems to be a good fit with Tim. They're working very nicely together. Right now they're equals in the department. We haven't decided that. We haven't made it a hierarchy because I have Adam from another town who is over them both. So I just kind of wanted to leave it like that for now and work my way through their abilities.
So you put all the data in like on a graph, so you got it on a screen, you see it every day?
We can do that. I have not actually had time to do a lot of that yet, but I'm doing that in another community because it's the same water loss issue. But I am planning to do a lot of comparisons between when we get all the meters, the readings, and feel, have this straightened out, which we do feel like we have now straightened out. We can compare the actual meter readings to the water pump and see what our percent loss is, because that's data that we're supposed to be giving to the PUC and evaluating. So I will be doing that this year, and we can work together on that.
So Brent, being another engineer geek, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I want to see charts and graphs.
Yeah.
So over time, too, we'll be going out in the field just to make sure we don't have people hooked up to areas that perhaps they couldn't get the water turned off at some point, and somebody leaves and then moves in and turns the water on. Is this a possibility there is somebody out there?
Yeah, the record keeping could have been a little better.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
It's already been an improvement. Yep. Eric.
So people are going to make mistakes, like when they fill out paperwork and they get serial numbers off pumps. And are there any checks and balances, to catch it in the future? Or?
yeah, I mean, obviously, when we do the readings, what happens is the ones that don't match end up as an error on the reading. And what was, just going to be blunt on this, they were not going back and checking those.
Okay.
So we're doing that now. We would not have, if I had known that was happening, I would have made them go read them. They shouldn't be sending that information to the office for them to have to try to figure out. So it'll come up as an error on the reader, and then they can go figure out what the problem is. So that's what we're doing.
So there was a check and balance, but they just weren't using.
That's my understanding. And, Jim came to us from here. We tried to work with him, and I shouldn't talk about that, but people, we assume they know certain things, and maybe they don't. I don't know.
So when we got the errors on the reports, we would give it back to the staff, have them come up and go out and reread the items. Sometimes they would reread in Book 5 several times, and Book 5 is the area that has a lot of movement. And the facilities sometimes don't have the meters hooked up exactly correctly, mobile homes basically. But the rest of the community is set up very well.
Yeah.
And we'll be working
It's
on
mostly
the
there.
mobile home park in several ways.
Yeah, and we did get them, people eventually let us in, and we were able to get it figured out.
Anything else briefly, Council, before we move on? All right, thank you, Annalise. Catherine, if you need to wrap up on your...
Yes, I will wrap that all up. We'll be getting some information from Plymouth Engineering about the rebid for the Crawford Road Bridge, Mosher Bridge, as well as the Sebastian culverts. We got some new state inspection reports with Plymouth Engineering is going over. He's had a backup on work for a month, which all engineers have had. And so this project will be coming to us a little bit later than we like. But we can bid it out. If it doesn't work, we can bid it out again in the winter for next year, and then that should give us some much better prices. I'll end by indicating that on your tables you have a listing of the code enforcement matrix of some first, suspected, and/or alleged code violations from the drone pictures that we received last month. And so I have taken out the web road because there were so many pictures, and put that aside because that is an entirely different issue that needs to be handled differently. And there have been several visits by people to the office So that's been quite constructive. But the rest of these are regular code violations or possible code violations. And so there's several actions that I've worked on. I put down the items that I had done. I put down the owners in terms of whether they were a corporation or a property owner, residence, except closed business. So we've identified almost everything that is in the list of pictures that we got. I did speak with the individual that took the pictures, Corey, a couple of times, and he came over to the office and we verified that we knew all the locations, but there's a couple that we still are trying to figure out. And he had gone and talked to Mr. Vigu about those, and so we'll keep working on getting those locations. I've seen one of them before, I just can't identify where it is. It's the back of a building that I've seen from another road, so we'll figure that one out. And then we'll determine for the next meeting exactly what the steps will be. Since I put this together, Al Tempester has been away. He had a personal business he had to take, but he'll be here this Friday to work on code enforcement. So we'll figure out what items should take place. Some of these are easy fix if people would do what they say they're going to do. There's a couple on there. All they have to do is move some of their vehicles out, which are not registered, clean up some of their junk, and they would be fine. Because this is basically like junking yards in some aspects. There's a few that's a bit more severe. There's one that needs to go to court, which is the Washington Street. And then on the separate list that is on the Web Road, that is going to have to go to court too.
Well, we're pursuing that one though.
We are pursuing that, but we have to. That is totally outrageous. You can't see from the road exactly what's in there. And of course, in court, as I explained when the citizens came in and their property owner came in, we will not use those pictures in court. We understand we can't, but they were given to us, and so we have them.
Right. That leads into my question. Who's doing the drone operation on that? Where are we getting that service from?
It's not a service.
Is it a volunteer? Who's doing it?
Volunteer.
Random people.
Chimbrow Corporation's employees took the pictures with their drone.
So it's a volunteer.
It was a
It's not a contractual thing.
Not whatsoever. We would not get drone pictures.
So you had mentioned right before I started bringing up this topic about not being able to use these photos in a court case. Is there a privacy issue with flying drones over property like that? I don't know. I don't think we need to have the answer now. It's more of a rhetorical question. It's something we need to think about. It's a very useful tool. However, if that could throw us from one frying pan into a boiling pot of water, on the other hand, then instead of being plaintiff, we become defendant. It's just something we need to think about.
I don't think that's a violation.
I don't know that.
I don't know
That's a
either.
question we need to understand because we haven't started using this drone until recently.
Right.
You don't own the airspace above your property.
Yeah, we're not using the drone.
Is what
I don't know that, but until
I don't either.
we have the CEO or the town attorney say yes, you can do that within a certain amount of footage. Because if I was on the end of, if I was the defendant on something like this, that's the first thing I'd go after. I play devil's advocate on these things, and like I say, I don't want to discuss it now because I don't think we know the answer. We probably have our opinions, but it's something we need to have identified.
We did check with the town attorney. It's iffy, but the town is not using these pictures. We didn't ask for the pictures. The pictures were given to us as a donation or volunteer effort that was not engaged by the town.
Okay.
So we're not using them. We just have them.
That's why I asked, so the attorney has weighed in on this to a degree. Okay.
Yes.
Very good, thank you.
How many vehicles are a violation? If you have like unregistered vehicles.
If you have 3 unregistered vehicles, then it's a violation. It's technically a junkyard, even if your yard looked nice. Obviously, you're not going to be, required to get a junkyard permit.
Okay.
You'll be asked to, remove 1 or 2.
Okay, good deal.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Or suggestion. On a spreadsheet like this, I'm just thinking it'd be helpful if you had one more column which would say, here's your item and what ordinances is that violated?
Yeah, there will be. There'll be two more columns, one that has the map and lot number, and one that has what the actions will be under which regulation.
Because I'm just thinking out loud now. You take like the one that has the whole roof, okay? If I have a hole in my house roof, what violation is that? If I wanna live with a hole in my roof, so what? Who says I have to fix that hole in the roof?
Well, it might be a life safety if people are actually living in the building, but
Right.
technically I don't think that the garage is actually
Right, it's not
a violation.
we'll say it's not a good appeal, or people don't have the pride in their property, but what is the actual violation?
That may be one color in that palette that'll show overall it's a decrepit property, it needs attention. It's
That's what I'm asking.
that one thing, that hole in the roof, like I said,
Yeah,
if you have a nice landscape, you want to live with a hole in the roof, that's your own issue.
yeah.
But, I know that's the Ford garage.
Right.
You know, so
I know.
it's just, it's an eyesore, and that was brought to us,
Right.
you
But that's what I'm
neighborhood beautification, I get that, but we're using this to the CEO to enforce ordinances in place, but
Right, but that's what I'm getting at.
No, you're right.
Is it a violation, or is it it's just a moral violation, we'll say, of appeal? You know,
I got you.
Yeah, it's in number 2. However, it leads to other things that,
granted, I know that.
birds are getting in the
Yeah,
building,
right.
it could be
Well,
vector issues, other things. So there'll be 2 more columns. I'm meeting with Al on Friday, and we'll go over this in more detail. There is 2 locations that we haven't identified, but we will figure them out. One, I have seen it before. It's just a different side of the house, and the other one, I'm not sure where it is. But we will continue on. So you got your basic matrix, so we'll start working on that. I didn't put the code enforcement letter dates in because when they were run out, he's got different dates on them than the dates of the last copies that I had. So we're going to have to validate the dates that the letters were actually done on, which would be the signed copies.
That spreadsheet you have here, and it's an excellent start as compared to what we've had months and years before, which is nothing. So this is an excellent start. And to Brent's point, I'm having an idea of what the actionable items would be on that.
Yeah,
I mean, just that they are aware now that it's highly visible to us as a council, it's highly visible to people in town. It's been usually pushed off. It's going to cost money. Let's let it ride, let it slide, let it go. But we can no longer do that. We've dug a very deep hole, and now we're trying to struggle to get out of it. So this is the first step.
Yeah,
So
that's
thank you
where
for
the
that.
empty space is over here on the legal side. That's where the actions will go.
Good. Okay.
All right, very good. I'm all set on the town manager.
Okay, Council, thank you very much. Number 6, old business, there is none. Let's start with number 7, new business ordinance 22-07. Please, Catherine.
Ordinance 22-07 to be set to public hearing on August 2nd, 2022. Town of Pittsfield ordinance authorizing issue of up to $2,488,000 principal amount of general obligation bonds. The Town of Pittsfield Town Council hereby ordains the borrowing of up to $2,488,000 to finance costs of improvements to the town's sewer system to the state's Clean Water State Revolving Fund on the following terms. 1. Pursuant to the Constitution of the State of Maine, Maine law, including Title 30A, Section 5772 and Section 5953-A of the Maine Revised Statutes as amended, and the Town Charter, and all other authority thereto enabling, the Town of Pittsfield is authorized to borrow from the Maine Municipal Bond Bank, Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund, SRF, pursuant to a loan agreement between the town and the Maine Municipal Bond Bank, the bank, a principal amount not to exceed $2,488,000, and to expend the proceeds of the loan or loans to finance the improvements and upgrades to the town's sewer system, which may include, but are not limited to, the rehabilitation of sections of Birchwood Terrace, Maine, and Honeywell, Maine, the project, or such amount of the foregoing project as is approved by the state for participation in the SRF. The town hereby approves and authorizes the issue, sale, and delivery to the bank as evidence of any loan and against payment thereof, general obligation bonds of the town in a principal amount not to exceed $2,088,000 for a term not to exceed 20 years, and any notes in anticipation of such bonds and notes to be executed on behalf of the town by the town treasurer and countersigned by the mayor of the town, and to be at such interest rates, if any, as may be established by the bank and approved by the treasurer and the mayor, with such maturities, and to be on such further terms and conditions as may be prescribed by the bank and approved by the treasurer and the mayor, the bonds and the notes, such approval to be conclusively evidenced by their execution of the bonds or notes. If the bank approves only some, but not all of the foregoing project as eligible for funding under its SRF program, the town is authorized to proceed with the borrowing of the amount and project approved by the bank, even though the state may have approved only some, but not all of the projects described above. Number 2. The mayor and the treasurer are hereby authorized to execute and deliver on behalf of the town a loan agreement relating to the issuance of the bonds and any notes in anticipation thereof in such form and on such terms as the bank shall require, which loan agreement is hereby approved and may contain such other terms and provisions not contrary to the general tenure hereof, as the treasurer may approve with his or her approval to be conclusively evidenced by his or her execution thereof. Number 3. The mayor and the treasurer are hereby authorized to execute and deliver on behalf of the town loan application, other applications to the banks for borrowing under the SRF program. 4. The mayor, the treasurer, and other municipal officers and officials of the town are hereby authorized to execute all documents and certificates and to take all action, including affixing the seal of the town as may be necessary or convenient to carry out the full intent of the foregoing votes or any of them, one of them, and are hereby authorized and empowered in its name and on its behalf to do or cause to be done all such acts and things as may be deemed necessary or desirable in order to effect the borrowing authorized herein. Number 5. Funding for this project is a blend of Clean Water State Revolving Loan Funds and American Rescue Program Funds, ARPA, which were received by the state of Maine. Currently, ARPA grant funding has not been awarded for this project. However, if at any time in the future such funding becomes available, this ordinance shall allow such ARPA funding to be applied and expended for this project. Number 6, this ordinance shall become effective in 30 days.
All right, while the town manager catches her breath, I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
I make a motion we set the public hearing, ordinance 22-07 on August 2nd, 2022.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, council? This is a continuation of what we had discussed in the previous meetings
Yes.
for the loan amounts for the sewer and water rehab. We're all set?
I guess my question.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, the question I have is the portion under line item 1, where it says if the bank approves only some but not all. So for us to continue and secure funds, wouldn't that put into jeopardy the entire reason that we looked at this now, which was the favorable interest rate? Because if that's not approved under the SRF, wouldn't that change our interest rate on whatever portion is not approved?
Catherine, please.
Yes, this is a basic language that is required by the Maine Municipal Bond Bank and the state law and the SRF program to have. And so to date, all of our projects have been approved for the amounts that we requested, because those are the amounts that have been given to the bond bank. This would only be language that would be used. Let's say we have a town that is very close to its maximum amount of bonds it could have, or was having financial difficulties, or was defaulting on something. So they need language that would protect the bond bank and the state, so that that community would only get the amount that they felt was necessary. In our case, our bond amount is very low. Still, it seems like it's getting higher, and it is, because we're going out and getting loans, but they're loans for good projects. So we should not have any issues.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
On page 22, if you look at the listings of the expenses that are on that one, you take it says third one from the bottom, very bottom, inspection allowance. I take it that's inspecting the water and sewer everything. Is that outside of Annalise's program, or should her program be covered in that?
If your question is,
Is
should
it-
the
was that
two
different
staff,
inspection?
right, so the two people that work here don't do construction inspection
Okay.
to the degree that this would require.
Right, this is required.
Right, they would have to be there full-time to monitor it. And they would be able to look at a development or something like that, but that is not included within our
It's not included in
typical
your monthly fee.
operations monthly fee. Correct.
Remember, Donnie had mentioned this before, that projects haven't been done without having our eyes on the projects,
Yeah.
and there have been questionable results.
Is somebody, are you going to be hiring somebody, or? are
We
gonna
have
totally somebody
full-time
outside?
inspectors that work for us, and we don't we don't lay them off or anything, so our people that do drafting, survey, also do inspection.
Okay.
So we already have people that would be doing it. I don't know who it will be yet, because it's not this year, it will probably be more than likely next year. But yes, we already have people that work for us full-time.
And since you're already doing business with us, you give us a discount.
Well, I try to be as fair as possible. I really try to be fair as possible and do a good job.
Okay.
But you raise a very valid question point there, Annalise, I'm just saying. Discounts.
I'll consider it. No, we try to be very fair.
Oh, there you
And
are.
above and beyond, do a good job.
Anything else, council? On the fact of sending this to public ordinance? Very well. Hearing none, since we're all those in favor of setting ordinance 22-07 to public hearing on August 2nd, 2022, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. This ordinance 22-07 will be set to public hearing on August 2nd, 2022. Let's move on to resolution 22-70, please, Catherine.
Resolution 22-70, resolved that the town council waive the bid policy, chapter 2, administrative code, section 106, regulation of bids and contracts, to accept the proposal of Oliver Associates Inc. of Winterport, serving as the town's operator for water and sewer, and authorize the town manager to execute amendment number 1 to the engineering agreement between owner and engineer for professional services for water main drinking water state revolving loan fund DWSRF for design and geotechnical services only for Birchwood Terrace in the amount of $57,000 and Library Street for $52,000 for a total of $109,000 for the drinking water SRF DWSRF funding currently available through the American Rescue Plan Act funds ARPA.
I'll look for a motion from council, please.
Make a motion, we adopt resolution 22-70.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Before I open up the questions, Annalise, could you give us a Reader's Digest version of what we're talking about here, and perhaps questions will be answered, or do you want to field the questions right out of the...
Oh, no, it's fine. So we did apply for funding, full funding for these two projects, and what we did obtain was ARPA grant to do the design. So that's kind of what this is. So the drinking water program did do something a little unique this year, and did provide the communities did not get through to the full funding, at least the grant to do the design work. So this was something that we had done the applications on behalf of the town, and Catherine reviewed them before they went into the drinking water program. And I think what they're trying to do is get then the next application period, then you get more points because you've already done the design. So that's what our hopes are, is to get the drinking water funding because of its low interest rate loans for the construction. So this is for design only in this part.
Okay, very good. Any questions, council? Craig?
Just Library Street. Why Library Street? Seems like we keep coming back to this and we keep talking about the condition of that street.
Yeah, Catherine, can you answer that, please?
Yes, for these two projects, the state looked at these and thought that if they, as Annalise said, gave us the funding, that we'd be able to go forward with those projects. So basically, if we do not go forward, we've got free design for someday in the future. Obviously on Birchwood Terrace, since we've had yet another issue develop there in a different area of the road, that definitely needs to have the water main go forward, and this will help us get points the next time the applications come out for the drinking water program. In terms of Library Street, it was an offer that we could have this, so the council had decided to go forward and do it. If we do go forward at some point on Library Street, at least within a certain number of years, the state will put the $52,000 into the loan and just roll it in. If we don't, it's $52,000 that we were given a grant funding to do a design that we have on the shelf, basically.
All right. So why, again, wouldn't we use that towards, I mean, we had a list. We all still have it, I'm sure we can get it, of streets that had much more deteriorated lines. Why would we have that kind of money spent in that direction when we have items that we're going to be tackling before this?
Mm-hmm. So the projects that we applied for were the projects that the town council had decided on based upon the expertise from Oliver Associates and what was on the capital improvement plan. Last year, Library Street was a major item that people were interested in. Of course, we've had changes since then. But Library Street was the one that we were offered the money on for the grant, and Birchwood Terrace. So those were the offers, so we took them.
Okay.
They didn't offer them on other roads, that we might have preferred.
So they're essentially previous discussions. I mean, this has been going on.
I get, right, not being privy to that, or right, not being privy to that. Or
Yeah, well, neither am I.
Yeah.
Right? Neither am I. Not even saying the question, but
I'm having that rare mood tonight where I'm going to ask the things that
oh, please do
quick.
it. That's why we're here. Anything else, Craig?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Anything else, Council? Very well. Last chance. Craig, you look like you have something on your mind.
No, I'm good.
Are you all set?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm warmed up for the next one. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Very good. Hearing none, I set ready to vote. All those in favor of Resolution 22-70, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-70 passes. Before we move on to Resolution 22-71, I think that's what we're looking at for your input, Annalise. You're more than welcome to stay as long as you want.
Well, I have
But I'm sure you have other things you'd like to get to,
so I'll
so-
probably do that. And I appreciate your confidence in our firm, and
Well, I
we will do a
appreciate
good job on
you
this
seem
work.
like, other than council or a town citizen, you spend an awful lot of time here.
I have over the years.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, have a good
Appreciate
evening.
it.
Thank you. Yep, bye.
All right, Catherine, let's move on to Resolution 22-71, please.
Resolution 22-71, resolve that the town council approve the payment of the monthly disbursements in the amount of $282,931.55 July 2022 and $3,075,077.29 August 2022 through June 2023 to SAD 53 for its fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023 for a fiscal year total of $3,358,008.84, which represents the town of Pittsfield's share of SAD 53's local appropriation funds.
Look for a motion from council, please.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 22-71.
I'll second. Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments on this? I believe this is a budget item. So essentially just to approve from the council to follow the budget that has been approved. Any questions or comments? Very well. Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of Resolution 22-71, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-71 passes. Thank you all. Resolution 22-72, please, Catherine.
Resolution 22-72, resolved that the town council approve the payment of weekly payroll checks in accordance with the following accounts. Personnel services 01-05 regular, 01-10 overtime, 01-15 part-time, and 01-40 FICA.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Motion to adopt resolution 22-72.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments on this? Essentially a housekeeping item. Nothing? Very well, council. Hearing none, since ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 22-72, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-72 passes. Let's move on to resolution 22-73, please, Catherine.
Yes, resolution 22-73, resolved that the town council approve the issuance of a parade permit to MCIT Club for a 5K color run on September 18, 2022 at 10 o'clock a.m. to benefit Pittsfield Parks and Recreation Department and waive the permit rules.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 22-73.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments on this? Very well. Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 22-73, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-73 passes. And let's wrap up new business with resolution 22-74, please, Catherine.
Resolution 22-74, resolved that the town council re-sign the previously approved alcoholic beverage license for the Broken Putter Restaurant and Lounge at 382 Heartland Avenue, Pittsfield, Maine, 04967.
Look for a motion to council, please.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 22-74.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Question, Catherine. Curious as to the wording of this. Resolve that the town council re-sign the previously approved alcoholic beverage license.
Yes, you had signed it previously and approved it after review. Unfortunately, it wasn't filed with the state within their filing period, so it was over the 60-day period. So the state would not accept it when J.W. Parks took it down. So they wanted to pay to re-sign.
So that was not the fault or responsibility of the council of the town?
No.
Okay, very well. So it's a mulligan. Ha! That was a good one.
I get it.
I've been waiting on that. Thank you. I'll be here till 9.
At least.
No. Any questions or comments, council? Very well. Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 22-74, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-74 passes. That was a good one, Mulligan. Number 8, discussion items. Catherine, let's do the review of your department reports. If you want to do a quick presentation or reviews or anything that you'd like to highlight on that.
No, I think that they're self-explanatory. Almost everyone is following them appropriately. Measures have been taken with the two that have not. One just simply needs more time and assistance, and so that one should be coming in from that department. The other one is an issue that we're working on.
Okay.
But all the others have filed their reports appropriately. They're interesting. They're following through. They see the value of it.
All right, very good. Any questions, council, on any of those comments, whatnot? I know there's a lot of information there. The thing that I won't call them trouble spots, or the issue that they're having, that certain people are having, once they get the basic form done, it should be a tweak from week to week there
It
on.
should be very easy. You just copy it over and change it.
Yeah, essentially, okay. Well, it's a good step in the right direction, once we get the departments understanding that this has to be a regular thing, instead of trying to see with their pants.
Well, it's very helpful. All you have to do is post it. You don't only need the project.
Yep, understood.
Catherine, do you know if the culvert replacement on the Webb Road is the one near the railroad track?
Yes, it is.
It's that big one?
That's the big one.
Okay, that's good. Thanks.
Definitely needs to be done. It's sagged
Yeah,
down.
it's pretty bad, yep. Excellent, thanks.
And for the financial reports, as I noted, we had the issue with the freezing, so there is a difference that we've been unable to find between the control accounts and the budget revenues. When new trio goes into effect tomorrow, I'll go back in and work on that. I will find it. I found the differences when it froze up in March, April, May, June has been a little bit more difficult.
Okay.
And it froze up today.
Modern technology.
Yes, it'll be more modern tomorrow. Thank
All
you.
right.
So I did bring the May statistics, the May report, if anyone wanted that. I have the budgets and the revenues. I didn't want to give you a lot of paper if you didn't want it, but I do have copies here if you'd like it after the meeting.
Okay. All right, before we get to reports, anything else on that, council? Anything specific to the discussion items? Number 8. All right, very well. Let's go to the reports since there is no audience, either analog or digital. We shall go to the council, and I will start with Deputy Mayor Lodgedice, please.
Easy, no report.
No report. Let's go to Councilor Frost, please.
I just got a couple of questions. One is, I see that we brought up last time, we have the two trailer vendors over there by the railroad tracks. Now there's a third one there that's setting up little stands selling
Yard sale.
trinkets or whatever. So
Little yard sale action.
are we slowly progressing to a flea market?
Getting there.
There's enough property there.
That's our vision.
Yeah. I think we'd have some type of ordinance there. Because what's the difference between setting up a little stand there or having a yard sale all summer long? It's almost the same, man.
Well, if they call it a yard sale, you can't. But if you call it something else, like second-hand crafts.
Yeah, but
Did they take out a permit for that?
That one was referred to the code enforcement officer when we saw it. There is a second-hand permit you can get. That one wouldn't be applicable for it. They need a permit too. But that looks temporary.
The vision, the image that it portrays, that concerns me too. And if we're looking for something for the planning board to discuss, or the ordinance committee,
yeah, I guess.
that's
not what
I'm with you.
Yeah. And the other thing I still have heartburn on is you think we have there's individuals who don't pay their taxes. And sometimes if you look at that book, it's the same ones year after year after year.
It usually is.
And if you look at it, a 4% penalty is almost a joke, in my opinion. If it was 4% a month, I'd agree with that. And I know that's what the state stipulates. But it's just like environmental rules. The state sets its rules, and a town can go up and beyond that, but you have to hit that minimum. So why couldn't the town adopt increasing, doing something a little more, we'll say a little more bite in it than just a 4% annually?
In some areas you can. In this particular area, that is the maximum interest rate that we can set. Each year, the Treasury Office comes out with the maximum amount after studying it. Some years it used to be 11, 12%. It's been very low recently when it's going to start going up. So that is the maximum. In this particular case, we cannot go above the amount the state sets.
Because you said there's like 200, let's say 250 ones that were not paid. That's about 6%. So you get 94% of the people in this town pay the taxes. You get 6% that's always delinquent. So somehow you need to do something to increase it up. I know it's a small amount, but still, why can't those 6% be the same as the rest?
Unfortunately, that is one of those state laws. So we went down from 296 to 204. I think we're around 200 for the 30-day notices. So what will happen is some of those will get paid. This is actually less than usual from all the phone calling, which worked out good. Everybody rushed down to pay as much as they could. So it'll be less, but there still is the same people usually each year.
Okay. Believe me, I hate to give the government or towns or whatever any money if I have to, but you have to, you have to. So the other people should too. That's all I got.
All set, Brett?
Yep.
Okay. For the council adjuster, please.
We'll go no report tonight.
I thought you were.
Your mouth says it, but your face says no.
It's one of those floodgates. You get a crack in a dam, and once it opens up, it's going to be trouble. So I'm going to let it go for tonight.
Okay.
Bring it back.
Let the record show I gave you the opportunity.
I appreciate it.
So I'll move quickly along. Council Associate.
I'm going with the no report.
Very well. We'll go to Council Hall, please. No report. All set. All right. So just got a couple things I want to touch upon here. I wish we had more people in attendance, more people watching. Hopefully they'll watch on the Town Hall stream here. July 28th in Hathorne Park. We have been having those weekly concert series. And I don't know if everyone understands, it's Jane and Barb, the only two people who have been doing that. They've had a little help in there. That's the reason why that happens. Not the town, not the council, not the town employees. He goes and solicits funds from the town businesses and pays for these bands to be here. So he's had one concert already last week. I was supposed to do an announcement. They got rained out, so MCI has kindly offered to let the bands use the field of the gymnasium. So if this week if it rains, we still will have the band. He wanted me to say that this is going to be the 100th anniversary of Hathorne Park. So there will be a special presentation at that concert. I believe it's the Beatles tribute band, and they're very, very good. You young guys, look it up.
We're young, not dumb.
So I had mentioned, not that I want to, I would like to see us tackle the budget sooner than later. I know we'll start at the regular time. I'd like to get that wrapped up before Thanksgiving. If any final things we need to do, we'll hold that for the month of December. I know it's going to be painful. No one likes it. No one likes it. So I'd like to kind of work on that if we could. A couple things I want to follow up with, Catherine. The Zoom meeting requirement. We were able to find any legalities or loopholes that we would have to keep this in place here?
I did look at the state law. It talks about how a public body subject to the chapter may allow members of the body to participate in these type of proceedings, the remote method. So I didn't hear back from the town attorney because she was working on a case, but it appears under the state law there is no requirement for it. Now, under the town's regulations, we did vote into the administrative code the remote proceedings and how they take place and everything. So right now, we have our own ordinance that allows it.
Okay, all right. So I didn't get the temperature of the council on this because I'd like to see that gone. It's kind of a bother. We do have the availability with this town hall, town stream, that everyone can see the meetings. There's no requirements for pandemic status, so I just soon see that go. Just my thoughts. I'd like to follow up with that on later meetings. And I'd like to see, and I know I mentioned this, Catherine, I know you got a ton of other things to do, and we're, by the looks of that last photo on the council wall, we're years behind getting that done. Because there's absolutely no white in my mustache on that picture.
I did talk to the town clerk. As soon as we get the trio, so it's not freezing up. And
Yep, no, I understand. I know you got a lot of things going on. I just want to remind, I kind of like to see this continuation because, you know, you see the history of the town just starting there, working on it. It's actually pretty nice setup. So that's really all I have right now. I will look for a motion to go into executive session, please.
Make a motion that we move into executive session.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Very well. We are in executive session. Catherine, what I will do is if you want to leave a post-it notice up on your desk, I'll put the time, who called for it, and who seconded for coming out of executive session, and for adjournment.
all right, that's fine. And then if after the executive session, if you could ask when the town councilors would like to have their budget workshop in August. I can send out a little survey, but the auditor is unable to come to the regular meetings, but he could come to the off nights. So I could do that as a survey if you'd like, or you can just talk to them after the executive session. On which day?
What date, do you have available days there?
Yes, August 9th or August 23rd of the auditor to come, which are the off August meetings. And I can send that out to you if you'd like.
Yeah, would you?
And just here, I'll go back and go
Yeah,
over the
yeah, please do that, that way we can have Lindsay give us feedback on that also.
All right, very good.
All right.
So we'll turn this off. Turn this off.
My turn. Thank you.
All right, that's working good. Get this on.